Your insiders, Chris Johnston, Pierre LeBrun, and Darren Dreger, suppose we could have done Trade Center on Friday with the Jari Skinner deal, followed by the Hughes blockbuster. And so we ask Pierre, who is next, and could it finally be Rasmus Andersson?
Well, James, I don't know that he's next. I think this is still going to need some work. But what I am hearing is that the Calgary Flames suddenly got more calls on Rasmus Andersson after the Quinn Hughes trade. And that's not surprising. There aren't going to be that many top four defensemen moving between now and the March 6th trade deadline. What is going to be interesting is how the Flames handle that potential trade. Do they move him as a traditional rental, he's pending UFA, or do they involve the agent Claude Lemieux into a potential sign and trade to get more value in a trade? And one thing I should mention, that among the teams that have circled back on Rasmus Andersson is the Toronto Maple Leafs. We know the Leafs tried to trade for Andersson last year at the deadline. And why I mentioned Toronto is that my understanding is that the Leafs would be one of those teams that perhaps Andersson would consider extending with if, in fact, a trade would work out between those two teams.
Yeah, and look, the Toronto Maple Leafs right now are in a bit of a predicament. Of course, they would have interest and continued interest in Rasmus Andersson or another top four defenseman for that matter, but they need the prices to come down. They need more sellers in the market, and right now that's not the case. So Toronto has to hold their own in the standings and hope for the best. But what is becoming increasingly clear is it a top four defenseman that's needed, or is it a top-line winger to help get Austin Matthews going and returning to the player that he was not that long ago? So an interesting decision looming for general manager Brad Treliving. With somewhat limited assets, landing either is definitely going to be a challenge in Toronto.
The New Jersey Devils need some help as well. They lose out on the Quinn Hughes sweepstakes, can't unite him with his brothers, but still looking at other things, possibly, Dregs?
Yeah, definitely looking. Now, the good news for Tom Fitzgerald and the New Jersey Devils is slowly they're getting healthy. It sounds like Brett Pesce, the defenseman, is ready to come back into the mix. Jack Hughes isn't that far away. But as much as they would have loved to have had Quinn Hughes based on the talent and the character, the reality is they're shopping for a centerman, and their belief is that would really bolster what they have up front. We've seen Dawson Mercer shifted to the wing. Well, that's his natural spot, so they like the idea of leaving him there, but there's no heightened sense of urgency, just a shopping list for the Devils.
Florida-Tampa games have become must-watch TV, at least for the NHL player safety department, CJ. I think we've done this twice before where Tampa's upset about a hit on Brandon Hagel.
Yeah, and third time is not a charm for the Lightning in this case. And look, I think the way that the Lightning feel is that even without the history, and there is history, even if it wasn't intentional, that they feel that Seth Jones, with the forearm that he delivered to Brandon Hagel's head area, knock him out of that game, an unpenalized hit in the game, I should mention, in and of itself should be worth supplemental discipline. Obviously, that was not agreed upon by player safety. Seth Jones escaping here with no extra punishment. And I think, you know, when you add all the history together, this is the third straight game Hagel's left against Florida after taking a blow to the head. And the fact that even they had that big melee during preseason where a couple of Lightning players got suspended. John Cooper got fined. The Lightning got fined. Nothing to the Panthers' end. I think Tampa's scratching its head right now about the way the league is adjudicating some of these things.
The sidebar story to so many injuries right now. Hagel's joins a list of prominent Team Canada hopefuls hurt right now, and the question how long they are out, and does it affect the process of whether they'll be on the roster, CJ?
Yeah, and let's remind everyone, you can, make injury replacements right up to the start of the Olympics, so this will be something we continue to monitor, but it has been a bad couple days for some hopefuls. Start with Hagel. Right now, there's not a lot of clarity. He obviously was not feeling too good after Monday's game. He's had a history of head-related injuries. I think that one's going to have to settle down before getting some clarity. It's a little better for some of the others, including Connor Bedard of the Chicago Blackhawks. He is out until the new year, it sounds like, which means he won't play another game before they select a team, which might be a problem in and of itself. But there is a feeling in Chicago that his shoulder injury won't be too serious. Same for Darcy Kemper, left a game in Los Angeles for the Kings on Monday, and he is expected back perhaps just before the Christmas break or maybe the first game afterwards, but certainly nothing that should jeopardize his Olympic participation. Finally, Shea Theodore with the Vegas Golden Knights. He's day-to-day, nothing too serious.
And quickly, Pierre, Jarmo Kekalainen takes over in Buffalo. What would priority number one be as far as contracts go?
Certainly it's Alex Tuch, really one of the most prominent pending UFAs who wasn't part of all these extensions that were signed over the last few months. James Kekalainen absolutely wants to get those talks back on track with the Bartlett family, Brian Bartlett representing Alex Tuch. I should note that Kekalainen had a pretty good feel of what his predecessor, Kevin Adams, was talking about with the Bartlett, so he's not starting fresh here. But at the end of the day, my understanding is that the Sabres weren't willing to go to double digits on the AAV, which is why these talks had fizzled. So we'll see if Kekalainen can get this guy signed.
You feel like the GM move just the start of changes in Buffalo. Insider trading.